Welcome back to Afternoon Express, and I hope you're having a fantastic Monday afternoon. Now, we have family therapist Talya Ressel in studio today to speak to us about the importance of setting healthy boundaries for your children, especially around this festive season. We're also joined by Sonia and Matthew Booth. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, Talya, we're always picking your brain about all things, but today it's about parenting. And, of course, it being Mommy Mondays, girl, we need all of the advice we can get.
And school holidays, so we're with the kids full time.
We're with the kids full time. There's no break, but it's okay because family time is important. So what is the importance of setting boundaries?
Well, I think what we have to remember is that boundaries are actually something good. You know, I don't want parents and families running like army camps, but you know, you don't want it that regimented, but you also don't want no boundaries because boundaries are what provide children almost the edges that they know. Think about it for your job. If you didn't have a job spec, you know, and what they want, what your bosses want from you, how would you know if you're doing a good job? How would you know where to go?
Yeah.
And boundaries in parenting, they provide a nice container for children to know what is expected of them and how they should behave.
And how do you kind of navigate the boundary space personally for yourselves and, of course, lending it to the kids?
I think with our kids, we've got an 11-year-old and a 15-year-old, so
Wow.
we certainly need them. I think it's more along the lines of responsibility.
Yeah.
So we give them some leeway, for example, a PC in their room, and then we see how they treat it.
Okay.
And then we don't allow them to get into a comfort zone. So we'll often jump in and check their history or say, listen, you know, we want to check your
them on their
phone
toes.
so that they don't get into that comfort zone and get up to any sort of mischief.
And Sonia, what are some of the, I guess, negatives of not having boundaries?
I mean, it would be a recipe for disaster if you did not have boundaries. I mean, you know, the main responsibilities of a parent is to support and guide. So if there were no boundaries, I mean, I'm not sure how you would run the household. You know, in Zulu, we would call it Magitas Began. It's like everyone is just doing, you know, for themselves. There'd be no order. You know, you wouldn't know, nobody would know who the father, the child, and, you know, you cannot run a household like that.
And Talya, as a family therapist, what's your take on this?
Well, I mean, Sonia's spot on there. When the power dynamics are all over the place, or the power's lying with the child, it's very confusing for them, and it's actually very scary. I think what parents and children often don't realize is that the things that kids want the most when they try to get that power, that they want to be the boss, they want to be in control, that actually scares them too much. That actually creates a sense of anxiety because then it's like, oh my goodness, but I'm running the show here, and that's too much responsibility for them. So when the balance is appropriate, and again, back to I'm not wanting us to run an army household.
Of course.
But where it is that the parents are the ones steering the ship, that provides a sense of calm for children. Because without it, you get children who really cannot handle when they get into the real world, and the real world is not going to let them get away with whatever they want.
Absolutely. And what are some of the benefits do we see when positive boundaries are put in place? And what are positive boundaries? How does that look like?
Okay. So, I mean, a couple things that I want to say to parents, and myself as a parent, we can't get it right all the time. Like the expectations, I go for the 80-20 rule. So I'm doing it, you know, as well as I can. And maybe I let it slide a bit more in the holidays when it's full on with the kids. But I think if parents can remember about being consistent, and that is something, I know it's hard, I know you don't want to say no now, and you're tired. But that is exactly what has to happen because the child is going to push and push, and when you give in, eventually they just learn, okay, so I need to push 5 times to get what I want. So next time I'll push 6 times.
Oh, those little rascals. But I get it. As humans, that is just natural instincts. You want to push your boundaries. You want to see how far I can take this. I saw Matthew laughing when you were like, don't run it like a boot camp. Do you want a little boot camp in your household?
No, there's got to be hierarchy, I feel. And that goes hand in hand with the order that Talya speaks of, I think. But yeah, there's a fine balance between being dictatorial, you know, and getting it right. And sometimes I often joke and I say, you know, sometimes you just got to cross your fingers and hope because it's such a difficult job. You know,
Yeah.
and there's no guarantee how they're going to turn out.
There's
but-
no recipe. It's not like the kitchen where you
No.
just know you put this, and this together. It comes out like this most of the time. It's kind of like a free-for-all sometimes when you're trying to navigate the space of being a parent. I know, Matthew, you spoke about the ages of your children, 11 and 15. I mean, especially with the teenagers they're known to push boundaries. They're known to try it, you know. How do you then discipline and make sure that, you know, order is always kept?
Well, it's great difficulty, but I think myself and Sonia in a better position to communicate more than per se a person who works 9 to 5 and gets home with very little time. We both kind of work from home, so we have a lot more time. So we're in a fortunate situation. But even then, to be able to sit down and know exactly what to say, it's very difficult. And you know, the way that we grew up is different, very different to the way that our 15-year-old is growing up. You know, we believe in face control, and we joke about it. But the friends that he brings into his house, that's a very important aspect to control. The group, the entourage that he hangs around with, we're very, very strict on.
And Sonia, I see you guys have very creative ways of keeping the boundaries in place in your household. How does that look like? And what's this face control that Matthew's talking about?
I mean, for example, we have a rule: we do not allow any sleepovers.
Okay.
So ideally, we don't want other people's kids to sleep at our house.
In your crib, girl.
We don't want to be responsible for them. We already have 2 that we have to be responsible for, and they're counting on us for that. So the reason we say no sleepovers is because, I mean, it could be a neighbor next door, and I'm going to say it. Your neighbor could be a pedophile. You don't know.
You don't know.
And even if we know the parents from school, we'll still not allow any sleepovers. So if we don't know the parents, if we don't know what they look like, if we've never bumped into them at the soccer club or at the park, and we haven't sussed their characters, and our son wants to go and play at their house, he knows the answer is no. So he's not even going to ask us. If they go to the park, it's okay. If they're at the club, at the soccer club, it's okay. But sleepovers, definitely not. And luckily, we agree on that from the get-go. It was a standard rule in our household. And if a kid arrives there, I mean, if our youngest is the most sociable, the 15-year-old, he's got very few friends.
Really?
He keeps his circle very, very small.
But you've got a little social butterfly in the 11-year-old.
Yeah, the 11-year-old, he knows everybody at school. He knows everybody where we live. So he will bring in a whole lot of different kids at the house. And I mean, it's something as simple as a child arriving there and they don't even greet people in the house. The minute they leave, I'll say to our son, the fact that your friend cannot even say hello when they walk into the house, that's a true sign of character. And we're not up for Best Parents of the Year award. We're not even going to try and contest that. But we look at the basics, you know, as a child coming from, you know, a family that's together.
Family,
you know, not what do they call it? The Addams family kind of situation?
Yes.
No. That's what we do.
We just like dressing them down, just sussing them out and giving them a once-over, you know, to find out their history and preferably to meet their parents as well. And then they're allowed entry.
And then the relationship builds from there. Well, the 3 of you are such a wealth of knowledge. Do not move a muscle. We're definitely going to pick your brain continuously throughout the show and specifically at the end. We really appreciate it. Now, after the break, Chef Roo shows us how to make a custard trifle. Plus, we reveal the winner of the fourth winner of the LG competition.